Hello, welcome to Front Page Radio with your host, international journalist Dan Wooding.
Hi there, this is Dan Wooding and welcome to today's program, and we're recording this in Tokyo, Japan. We have a treat for you. Some of you may have seen the movie Sister Act. Well, believe it or not, there are now gospel choirs all over Japan that sing gospel music, and if that isn't strange enough, they're run by a gentleman called Ken Taylor. Not the Ken Taylor you think he is, who was involved with the Living Bible, but Ken Taylor, the musician, jazz musician, nightclub performer who found the Lord. So Ken, first of all, welcome to the program.
Well, hello, how are you all doing?
He doesn't sound very Filipino, does he there? But what a great story you have. Tell us a little bit about your background in music, first of all, before the choirs began.
Yeah, my wife and I used to be professional entertainers where we were raised and born in the Philippines. And it was there that we did our career as nightclub entertainers and concerts, studio work. And somewhere about in the midst of all our entertainment, Bola, my wife, is a professional singer. She's in pop and gospel singing. And then I'm a jazz musician. I'm a musical director and arranger, so forth. But in the midst of all that, God sought us and saved us.
How did that happen?
Well, I was invited to a Bible study in my mid-20s, and I walked into the Bible study, and it was presented the good news of Jesus Christ. And at that time, I figured, you know what? I thought I was a good guy. I thought I didn't need the Lord, but boy, when they said, they shared a couple passages from the Bible, and I figured at that time I was a sinner and I was in dire need of a Savior, and I accepted Christ that night.
And was that in the Philippines or in the U.S.?
Yeah, given my background, I'm all over the world, but that was in Manila.
Yes,
in the Philippines.
So then eventually you moved to the San Francisco Bay Area for a while?
Yes, I had a 2-year stint right after high school to go to college there, and that's where I learned all my jazz piano and all my jazz background. And then went back to the Philippines to do all my entertainment, then got saved, and then moved back to the U.S. and was based in San Francisco, where at this time now my wife, Bola, and I got married, started a family, and began the American dream. We were now immigrants into America and started our dream where we had 2 careers. We wanted our home, we wanted our car, but we were in a little church where we were growing in the Lord as well.
So you had no idea that you'd finish up in Japan leading gospel choirs. I mean, that is just incredible.
Yeah.
So how did you make the move then from living the American dream of the nice home and car and everything else to suddenly moving to a very strange culture for you, because Filipinos are so free and easy? What happened?
Yeah, as a believer in Christ, God puts something in your heart. And we definitely were blessed with many things, relationships and possessions in America. And we were living a comfortable life, there was no doubt. But God had put something in our hearts that said, you've got to go. And so what we were doing was, it started off with, we would take our 2-week vacation from our work, and we would do short-term trips. And so we would go and do evangelistic concerts. Yes, we'd play jazz, but it would be about Jesus. And we would do things like that. And one of those trips was in Japan. We were here for 14 days, and we did 12 concerts in 1992. And it was then that we were first introduced to the dire need of the gospel, the oppression here, less than 1% Christianity, yet this is such a modern world, and out of that, we just sensed from then on there was this calling that God was giving us that we just couldn't shake out. If God has a plan for your life, boy, you only have 2 choices. You either obey or disobey. And it was a long time. I went to seminary, and I finally got started some more ministry work, and then eventually got my ordination. But through that whole process, it was just you either had to obey His call or not. And we eventually did, and God has provided and confirmed our call here in Japan since.
Now, what are some of the difficulties you face as an immigrant to Japan? Is it the cost of living or what?
Yeah, well, there's many. In Japan, this is a country that's very homogeneous. They don't like outsiders. You're either in or out of the circle, and that's how the fabric of the society works. And as a foreigner living in Japan, you're always going to be an outsider. In fact, the word for a foreigner is not a foreigner. It's actually alien. And that's what you'll be forever. So the more we live here, the longer you live here, actually the more alien you feel. Because here you are pouring your hearts out for the Japanese, yet you'll never be Japanese. You'll never be accepted or assimilated into there to be a Japanese. So there's really some of the more deep issues of living in Japan. That's quite difficult.
Why has, almost the whole of Asia had these revivals going on, but Japan hasn't? This is the one Asian country that really... What's your theory about why Japan has been so difficult?
Yeah, I obviously from a spiritual point of view, one issue is I believe it's this just such an oppressed country, a spiritually oppressed country, and that territorially somehow the enemy doesn't want Japan to become Christianized, because if it were, the Japanese are such a disciplined, united people. The moment they become a believing nation, they will change the world. Just like the Toyota did, just like Sony did. And if you start thinking that way, if just a tipping point of Christianity happens here, just as a people, I think the enemy knows that they will make a difference into the world as Christians.
So what year did you move here?
We came here in 1997 as career missionaries with World Venture, and we went through the whole thing of trying to raising support. So churches are supporting us here, and we're here. We came here with the idea of being involved in helping local churches, yet with a focus on innovative, creative, and music ministries.
Now, I've just learned that you actually run these wonderful gospel choirs, and I'm just trying to see Japanese people who seem to be so uptight, just, relaxing and enjoying this music. Tell us how Sister Act had such an impact on the Japanese people, and then how you came to start these choirs.
Yes, Japan is a nation of fads. In other words, the pop culture here will pick up anything that is new. And what becomes new, it spreads like wildfire. And whether it's a new pair of shoes or a new pair of whatever the fashion new thing is, everyone picks it up. So when Sister Act came in here, maybe 18 years ago, I believe, they started watching the movie and saw Whoopi Goldberg singing "Oh Happy Day," taking all those old hymns and making them black gospel. There was this thing about, I guess they liked that.
Yeah.
And so what happened was the businesses in Japan are quick to these fads. They started offering gospel choirs. Not the churches, but the community centers started offering these gospel choirs. And so here we're non-Christians now. Of course, 99% people in Japan started saying, I want to sing just like that, gospel. And so they started taking gospel lessons. And in fact, the first choir I started I was invited to teach in a community center. That was about 10 years ago.
And, did they sing it in English as well or in Japanese?
Yes, it has to be just like the way they imagine it.
Yeah.
And so you can't fake this around. You got to do the real thing. You can't be singing praise and worship songs or hymns. You got to sing gospel and black gospel, to be very specific. And so that's what we've been doing. There are other choirs. It's been happening. There was a boom about 15 years ago, and so. But we've taken the strategy. At least I have taken the strategy where I'm partnering with churches, so that now churches are really starting new communities. Now, what they're choirs singing, but they're new communities of non-believers not yet Christians, with Christians, starting communities, but they're singing gospel.
So we're going to take a little break now, and we want you to introduce a little clip just to give a taste of Japanese people singing black gospel music. What's this clip? Tell us just a little bit about it.
Yeah, this clip obviously it's an original arrangement by Ray Sidney. He's from the House of Blues. He comes here and helps us make this more authentic, and it's just a wonderful song. But if what you're going to hear, these are Japanese. You got to understand, these are over 300 Japanese singing, most of them not yet Christians.
Yeah.
And as you hear, I think you're going to sense the joy and the passion of these Japanese as they sing this. The Spirit of God moves in their heart as well.
And what's the song called?
Revive Us Again.
Well, that was very interesting. Now, you said something there that was quite fascinating. You said that many of the members of the choir are not yet believers. They just want to be part of it. And you've got this pretty astonishing church planting that's come about through these choirs. Explain, first of all, how they can be in a gospel choir without being a believer.
Well, what we do is in Japan, most of the time, because it's a fad, what we ask churches to do is say, hey, why don't you host, not just host, but really have a new community, and we'll say we'll teach a gospel, and people will come in and they will sign up to teach to learn gospel for about 10 lessons, and they pay to come in. And so what a church would normally see as an expense for an outreach budget, normally they start thinking, oh my, they are now paying to come into my church as an outreach. And so they start to come into a choir, and we call it workshops, to learn gospel. But really, it's church.
Yeah.
Because we're singing songs about God, and there's prayer. We tell them the meaning of the songs. In fact, the only two textbooks that we have are the lyrics and the Bible in our choirs. And so we tell them, look, all our songs come directly from the Bible. And so if we'll say, oh, happy day, Jesus washed my sins away, we'll stop in the middle or after we learn the song, and the pastor will come in and say, what's Jesus, or what is sin? Turn your textbooks to Romans 3. Let's see what sin is. And there it is. And there they are learning. So there's fellowship. And if you think about what's happening in these workshops, it's really church already. And so they're experiencing more than just singing gospel. They're experiencing relationships. They're experiencing fellowship. They're experiencing God in a tremendous way. And we have had so many of these not yet believers who have said, you know what? I leave from these workshops. Now, they call them workshops. Yeah. But they leave saying, for some reason, they don't know what has moved in their heart. They feel like the stress has been taken out. They feel so much happier. Well, I'm looking for these theological terms, but all I know is that the Holy Spirit is working in their hearts.
So many of them are coming to the Lord eventually. They're performers. They're performing in a language they don't really know, but eventually they're learning. And you place them, each one of these choirs is actually part of a church.
Yes, they're actually part of a new church community. They're not part of the congregation. Yeah. They're part of a new church community, like a new church plant within their church. Yeah. And so, yes, what we have been so excited about is because of the strategy we're using, the churches are actually owning it, and it's their communities, and we're resourcing them and helping them with this. But we are hearing more and more reports of these not yet Christian members now saying, yes, now I will believe, and then they will get baptized and discipled into the church setting. And it's just been a wonderful phenomena that we've been experiencing.
And then is it once a year you bring them all together? How many altogether do you have?
Yes. We normally have up to about 600 members with this 30-plus choirs all learning the same songs. And yet twice a year, actually, we try to come together and we do joint concerts. It's kind of like a big family reunion. Yeah. Thankfully, not all 600 show up because we wouldn't have a stage for that. But up to over 300 people will show up, and we have just a grand old party celebration. We have seen non-Christians, these not yet Christians, sing with so much joy in their hearts and so much passion that it puts us and me as a Christian sometimes to shame that I can't sing that with that joy to my God when here are these non-believers singing with so much joy and passion to a God that they don't know yet.
It's so interesting because you would think the Japanese are so uptight, but you've seen a way to break them down a bit there.
Yes, obviously what God is doing, we need to understand, although this is an American genre that's hit Japan, this is an indigenous-born movement by the Spirit of God in Japan.
Yeah.
In other words, what I'm saying is, it's the Japanese non-Christians singing.
Yeah.
They're not African Americans coming to Japan to sing this.
Yeah.
The Japanese want to sing it, and somehow God is putting it in their hearts to sing, where the passage says, if no one will praise me, even the rocks and stones. Well, in Japan, it's non-Christian Japanese praising Him. And in fact, it's so wild that God is using this not yet Christian believers as they sing and invite their friends to the concerts. God is using these non-Christians to witness to their non-Christian friends and relatives who are watching. It is just so wild.
So each time they perform in the church, they're getting the gospel message. Are some of them responding?
Yes. What's the exciting thing about this is primarily we're there to minister to the choir because they're not yet Christians.
They're singing to the choir, right?
So we're singing and we're preaching to the choir, literally. And the byproduct is the audience.
Yeah.
We really can't direct this to the audience because many of them, it's the first time.
Yeah.
So it's for them, it's truly a pre-evangelism.
Yeah.
But to the choir, they've been with us for a couple of years now, so they're the ripest to receive the Lord are those in the choir, not in the audience.
Oh, dear. When you have these big concerts, how do you feel? I mean, is your heart just bubbling over?
Yeah, there's a sense of quiet in the storm.
Yeah.
Where you know that this is God at work.
Yeah.
And all we can do is show up and deliver.
Yeah.
There's no formula for this, no strategy really,
except
that when the Spirit of God is moving like this, you just show up. And there's that pumping of, oh my, this is such, you can't even explain this. This is just something that God is working on, and we just got to show up and do it. And it's not about perfection. It's about grace and freedom in Christ. They got to experience it and so forth.
Yeah. Now, Japan, just give us a little rundown spiritually. Why is it the Japanese are so resistant? I mean, you're saying that they do respond to this joy, which is wonderful, but generally, it's the country that has been the most difficult to evangelize. Well, you've lived here for a while now. You're a bubbly Filipino American, and you're everything that a Japanese isn't, I understand. So what's your theory of what's going on?
Yes, I've come to realize now, having lived here for about 13 years, is that the Japanese, we have an image of the Japanese, although very modern, but really they are a homogeneous people. Their history is so long. They have one language.
Yeah.
And part of all this, all their traditions and culture is really based on to their faith, which is Buddhism and Shintoism. But even more than that, they are a very, very difficult people to share the Lord with. I would say they are just as difficult to convert or at least share the gospel, to accept the gospel, just like a Muslim would be or a Jewish person. They are that type, and we don't really think about that. And so we have to find new strategies, new innovative ways to reach the Japanese, just like we do Muslims, Islams, or Jewish people. And that is what we're dealing with now here, finding new strategies and not just the old traditional ways.
When you first arrived, did you think you'd made a huge mistake?
Well, that's a good one. Not necessarily a huge mistake, but more like, oh, what am I doing really here in Japan? Absolutely. What's Filipino ex-nightclub entertainer Kai doing in Japan? I had really no idea, except that I just kept trusting God and that He would have a way with us.
Yeah. It's interesting that you, although your country was so badly treated by the Japanese, do they ever raise that with you, or do they don't even realize that was a problem?
Yes, I think the generation now, both, it's not so much of a problem anymore here.
Yeah.
So that's not become an issue at all.
Yeah. fascinating that at the end of the Second World War, Douglas MacArthur asked for all these missionaries to go and to Japan, and many did go, and many left, I think, quite disillusioned. You obviously didn't know anything about MacArthur's call, but you actually went even though you didn't know, because MacArthur played such a role in the Philippines as well. In those early days when the Japanese, when the Americans and overseas missionaries arrived, Japan must have been in a terrible state. We'd had the atomic bombs at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and now we're here in this very modern city of Tokyo, huge. Do you know what the population here is?
Yes, the actual Tokyo downtown area is about 10 million, but if you include the greater Tokyo area, it would be somewhere over 20 million. So there's a lot of people.
Huge, huge place, and very modern, very high tech, and yet somehow has lost the joy, if they've ever had the joy. I'm not sure whether Japanese people have ever had the joy. Do you see, besides your choir, which I think is a wonderful project, are there any other up-and-coming evangelistic works that are impacting the people here?
Yes, there are definitely pockets of revival here. We are sensing that the Spirit of God is moving in Japan, and we're seeing them in different areas. Besides, of course, churches having their own ways, as churches are having some difficulty because of the old ways they've been doing things, but there are churches that are transitioning. So obviously there's a lot of stuff happening there, but pockets, one of which is called the VIP. They call them very important, I believe, people, and what they are, they're businessmen, and that's been a very successful ministry here in Japan. A lot of executives.
So they have dinners for them? Or?
Yes, and there's a pocket of revival there. We're seeing that. And we're seeing it in the arts. The Japanese are very tuned in to nature and arts and so forth. So we're seeing that. And part of that is the gospel movement.
Yes.
And the other part now we're starting to see and begin to move into now is technology. One of our new missionaries that came in with us worked for Apple in the iPhone department, went to Stanford. He's a young African-American guy, and he's here not doing gospel, but doing evangelism and helping churches develop new evangelism through mobile phones. And so if you ride a train here, everyone's on their mobile phone, reading or communicating, and not even PCs, but on mobile phones. And so that's what we're trying to do, and we believe we may be able to break that through also.
Now, do you miss your nightclub act, or do you still do it occasionally, or what?
Yes, actually, my wife and I, we're club musicians at heart. A lot of the stuff we learned, I'd say, a lot of my evangelistic strategies I learned in the nightclubs because I know how to make people happy. And so we go in the clubs and we still do this stuff. And but more than that, it's really what makes us happy is knowing that we're doing God's will for us here, because we would never have known that God would take two Filipino nightclub entertainers, bring them to America, send them to Japan to teach black gospel to Japanese non-Christians. And to us, that's a God thing. That's God's story.
Do you have a website?
Yes, you can. It's real simple. It's Ken and Bola. .com.
And is it A-N-D or the...
Yes,
A-N-D?
it's Ken and Bola. It's A-N-D. .com.
Oh, that's wonderful. We've been speaking with Ken Taylor, who has this extraordinary ministry with black gospel choirs in Japan. And Ken, we'd like you to choose a piece of music to go out on so the people can continue to pray for the ministry of the choirs and your ministry. So what would you like to choose? Do you want Oh Happy Day, or what would you like to choose?
We could go out with Oh Happy Day. And it is because it's a happy day where you're at and here in Japan.
Great. We've been speaking to Ken Taylor, who runs this wonderful ministry here. KenandBola.com is the website, and we're going to play out with a track, Oh Happy Day, from the Japanese Gospel Choir.